Hey, buddy, what's up?
Hey man, what's up? So so I'm here. I don't know exactly where I am right now, but like I just got in this room. I just quick popped up with the laptop. I want to chat about some games real quick, but I don't know how long I'm gonna be here.
Uh-oh,
But
uh-oh.
I'm just here. I'm just here to chat games.
Okay,
So
okay. Well, I guess we better get started, and welcome to Card.
calling all retro gamers.
Calling all retro gamers!
Calling all retro gamers!
Calling
all
retro
gamers!
What's going on, everyone? Virginia here. Bacon Ice Cream Productions, Team RTFC. We got Ed, RetroKillDashNine. What's going on?
Hey,
What's going on over there? And it is calling all retro gamers. Welcome, everyone. Sorry about the late start. That was completely my fault. It's all good though. We're just hanging in. We got Rigatoni still here. We got Lloyd, Dr. Jim. What's up? Hey, that's a cool Katie. I like that. That's good. That's good.
That's awesome.
So yeah, we're here to talk about some arcade.
Oh, you know who else is here?
You got your boy Phoenix.
Yes, everyone! Just like in every cast, I have a bunch of stingers loaded, so expect the unexpected.
It's all good. It's all good. But you know who else we have?
Who?
We got Ian Hobbies.
RetroKillDashNine! Okay, you know what? So since Ian is here, here's a silly, stupid thing that I thought about doing, but Ian, tell me if this is too crazy or if you'd watch this live. So I thought about just going, because I'd have to do this live so people could believe me. I wonder how long I could actually hold the RetroKillDashNine. Could I do it for 1 minute? Could I do it for 5 minutes? Could it be 30 seconds? So that's why I said it's a silly, stupid idea. I would just call the topic RetroKillDashNine, and just kind of go live on my channel and just ask people and be like, hey, I'm going to perform something amazing, and then just do it to see how long I can hold it. I don't know.
That's epic. That definitely should happen, and you should have the timer on screen. Oh, this should be
yeah, exactly,
100%.
Yeah.
I'm down with that. What's going on, Chris Westerman? How's it going? He says hello, everyone. Yeah. Oh my God, your lungs are going to explode. Yes, that would definitely happen.
Okay, I may have to make that happen. I wonder what would be the best way to prepare for that. Drink honey tea, not say much. I don't know, but just something I just thought about.
Oh yeah. Well, you have to train though too. You got to train with doing your breath exercises, make sure you're holding everything in and all that stuff.
I kind of want to do that, or maybe I just don't, and maybe just try it for the first time and I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, we're here, ready to talk some cool stuff, but also, obviously things do look a little different, because I am indeed on vacay over at the folks' house down in the Floridas, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so we're just hanging out. So hoping for a nice little night of cool arcade chat and some fun surprises. Hopefully I can get them to work, because we do actually have a caller.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I actually think people are interested in MATs a little bit later. Richard knows this.
Yes.
You can see there's a red transparent carton here. I won't take it out yet, but maybe I'll tease it a little later. I don't know. We'll see. If people are interested, if they care about that, maybe I'll tease it.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Brian F is here. Amazon bent my copy of Evercade issue 4. Oh no. Oh, it has some creases now. That's no good. Hopefully you should report that. Maybe they just send you another copy.
Yeah.
Breathing exercise, go play a trumpet and stuff. Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no, musical instruments, that would definitely help.
Could you imagine that? I go into they ask you why do you want to play a trumpet? And I'm like, because I want to be able to say RetroKillDashNine.
They'd just be like, all right, out. Get out. You're done.
Yeah, I know. That's get out.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, Ian's waiting on his chance to get one. Get all four just to catch up. This issue, I must say, I know it's not the Evercast, but I gotta give them props over on the Evercade fans group. Liam and the rest of the crew, Vaughn, everybody over there, they knocked it out of the park this issue. This issue was great. Like all the blocking, their new layout, all the artwork. It's a stellar product.
I was impressed when you showed it on your channel. Like if you had told me that you just picked it up off a newsstand and just bought it, like it looks like a professional magazine.
Yeah. I mean, the first three issues. I mean, don't get me wrong. The first three issues look great too. It's just something about this. They were really hitting their stride. And then I sent a joke to one of them too, because they had asked me to contribute something. And I was like, oh yeah. And then, well, it's just me, right? My life's always busy, and I was like, yeah, I'll get you something to you as soon as I can. And then, like weeks go by because they're still working on their stuff. And I'm like, oh yeah. Here's all your stuff or whatever. And they're like, oh yeah, by the way, we sent those pages like 3 weeks ago. Oh no. So yeah, maybe next time.
For sure.
Rigatoni, Amazon initially sent me an empty package. I reported it. And they sent a copy the next day. Literally delivered the next day. Well, that's cool.
That's good.
Yeah.
Empty package. That's
yeah. High quality magazine. The paper, the print quality, content is great. Agreed, Rigatoni. It was good stuff. So, but anyway, we're going to talk about some arcade stuff today.
Yeah.
So we got 3 cool topics to go over. And the first one is a topic from you, Ed. And that is not only arcades are magic, but arcades are magic and why Neo Geo and specifically is super nostalgic. So
oh wow, I wore the right shirt for today.
And you were prepared.
Yes.
You were prepared. So yeah, why don't we jump into that and and chat a little bit about it.
So first of all, this topic, it gets me fired up to kind of be like this. Okay. Let me explain. Actually, I wonder if you haven't even looked at the list, so everything is going to be a surprise. So first, let's talk about the magic of arcades, and then why, and then how the Neo Geo, at least what it kind of means to me. So going back in time, 30, God, make me feel old, 30 plus or whatever years, and those of you watching who are probably around our age, I want to say probably either mid 30s to mid 40s. Can relate to this. There was once upon a time where, we didn't have consoles at home. I'm talking pre Super Nintendo, pre 16-bit. I mean, even pre 8-bit. Let's say the Atari age. What's Atari like? 4-bit or 8?
It's 8-bit. 8-bit. Even the 2600 technically was an 8-bit system. It just, it didn't the processing of the graphics on the screen weren't nearly as good as other 8-bit systems.
Gotcha. Okay, so I almost lost myself in thought. But yeah, so it's kind of around that time where you could, let's say play something like Asteroids at home, and capture the magic on the 2600. But even something like that. While the mechanics were solid, you could tell visually. The graphics were, it was different. And if a game was good quality, you accepted that at the time due to the limitations of technology. And I want to say probably earlier, Atari ports and things we're probably fine until, and we'll fast forward until you get into the Super Nintendo Plus, Plus era. But there was just something neat about an arcade. I mean, here you just have this machine, especially when you're a little kid, joysticks. Everything is high quality. You in the early days, you pop in a quarter, and then it was kind of you could play for as long as you were good. There was just something magical about that. It's kind of like carnival games without a prize, but the prize was playing. And just, I think the thing that's neat about that too is it's kind of the whole experience. It's not only just being able to play games. So let's say at a mom and pop gas station, there might be 1 or 2 arcades. that's its own experience. You get to check the latest games. But like in a full blown arcade, let's say something like the Tilt or Aladdin's Castle, there's all those extra background noises. Like you might be in one corner of the arcade, you could probably always hear something like a Pac-Man or Missile Command or set up something with unique sounds, and then it's just like full of people. And then there's the fun elements of playing like anything like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat. Somebody could just challenge you. Maybe if they were polite, they would ask, or they would just muscle their way. And then you have the quarters up there. But then the part that I really like too is also the co-op aspect. Like something like X-Men, especially like, and when we went to the arcades where there was like the 6-player was like especially cool. That thing was like 2 freaking huge monitors.
Yeah.
Back then, I mean, and we didn't know that like operators could set difficulties and all that. So there was kind of like a randomness. Like you never knew how hard a game was going to be. Some games are 50 cents. Usually games are 25 cents. Some newer games were 50 cents. And then like at a local gas station, one thing that they did to lure you in, it would be like 50 cents to start, 25 cents to continue.
Yeah.
But it was just neat though, because you could start off a game and then maybe you could jump out and take a break. Other people would play. Or maybe then you'd let's say you'd run out of a few bucks. You'd go back to your mom, guardian relative, grandma, grandpa. Can I have another $1? Come back in and and play it. So there's like the magic. There's just like the magic of that nostalgia. All like the local co-op, going with friends, meeting strangers. Just even like the neat part of this, like getting like tokens that could only be used there. Like all that, and every place had an arcade, from like gas stations to movie theaters. And it's weird now when you think about it, like that's, being that we have like, phones in our pocket, we don't think about that stuff. So there's just like, being in an arcade is an experience.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that.
Yeah. And, so here's the Neo. And I'm curious to hear your opinions on it too. So here's the magic of the Neo Geo is, yes, well, there were like ports, let's say like Street Fighter 2 that were like close to arcade perfect. The thing that was awesome about the Neo Geo is it was the arcade. So if you played like Samurai Showdown or Fatal Fury, you didn't get a port. You got that exact game.
Yep.
Which was amazing. And then I think that you maybe only got like 3 continue. You didn't have unlimited credits for good reason, because they wanted to try to have replayability. But the other thing too that wasn't, I never knew anyone who had this. If you had him about to talk about, you'd probably be the coolest kid in the block. If you had one of those memory cards that you could put in the arcade machine, and you could use that at home and like save your data and save your scores and all that. But that was kind of the allure, I think, because it was back then the Neo Geo was just so expensive, and because it was the arcade, and if things like like background graphic animation, sounds of like all that stuff mattered to you, then it's like you always wanted that, but it was always out of reach. I never even saw one in the wild into a store. Same with the TurboGrafx, and unfortunately those weren't popular at all. But just hearing it was out there, those video game magazines you could see in the back. And I remember me and my friends were always tempted. Well, if I traded in my Super Nintendo and my Genesis and my Nintendo and all my games, maybe I could get a Neo Geo in one game.
Yes, yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I had limited experience with starting with the Neo Geo stuff. I had limited experience with that. In fact, the only time I ever saw anything Neo Geo was at the arcade, because they had one of those Neo Geo 3-game kind of things where you'd walk in and you could you'd play Samurai Showdown or Metal Slug or something else, right? Last Blade or whatever. Sometimes one of the shooter, one of those SNK or whatever Neo Geo, like horizontal or vertical shooters, like that kind of thing. But that was my limit. Was I never knew anyone in my entire time growing up, or even post growing up, that actually physically owned a Neo Geo console. Like it was like that was the relic, right? That was the thing of that mythical era. Like no one had one. I knew people that had TurboGrafx. No one I knew ever had a Neo Geo.
Yeah.
And it was like, because they, it says, for the price Neo Geo and the games, you better get the legit arcade experience. Absolutely. Because those things were, as much as home computers at that time, right? Or just under, right? What you could get, like a 486 PC for, you'd get this console, and then every time you bought a game, it was like buying like a monitor for the computer. You know what I mean? They're super expensive games, but they were legit, right? They were the arcade experience, and getting that at home is something definitely to be like that definitely makes waves, which is kind of cool. But for the arcade itself, I agree with you as far as the arcades are magic sentiment, because arcades for me did a whole bunch more than just give me a place to go and hang out and play games. Now there are like the big set piece things in arcades, right? You can go to an arcade to play games that you cannot play. You have experiences you cannot have at home. There's all those other kind of like the mix between a carnival game and an arcade game type of cabinets. The ones where there's like a punching involved. You actually have to physically hit something in order for the arcade machine to work. These giant flight simulators that you can sit in, and they move and do all that kind of stuff. I mean, obviously you're not going to have that experience. You can play the same game, at home, but you're not living that experience. And the number one game for me in that category was hard driving. And the reason why was because it was a actual driving simulator, and it just kind of like blew my mind that someone had taken the time to put all of the factors in play, where if you didn't know how to drive a car, you were the sorry soul that chose manual, you weren't driving. You literally couldn't move the car unless you learned to finesse the clutch and the controls and actually learn how to drive. And if you got good enough at the game, it actually translated to the real world. That was my magic, right? Like that was a thing that I took away. It was like, I can't believe at this fun game thing, right? You have a high score and do all this other stuff. It translates so well. You could take it out of the arcade and into the real world and get into a real vehicle and almost from the jump know exactly what to do. And that actually happened to me. The second car I ever owned was a Volkswagen Fox wagon, and it was a 5-speed clutch. I never drove clutch before, except for in hard driving, because when I owned my old, I had an Oldsmobile Calais, and I drove that for 2 years. Every other weekend, I was driving into the Bridgewater Sports Arena, which was a big ice skate rink, but they had a sit-down cabinet-style full cab of hard driving. And I would drive my car, automatic to there so I could play hard driving in stick. And then the next time I got a car, it just so happened it was a 5-speed manual. And my father was trying to teach me about finessing the clutch of oh yeah, I got this. I dumped the clutch twice.
Oh, no.
And then after I dumped the clutch twice in the driveway, he's like, oh, see, you have to learn how to finesse it. I was like, look, check this out. And then I started actually driving, and I got used to it. I got used to the feel. And then I just drove around the block, my dad in the car, and he's like, what is happening? He says, I know how to do this. He's like, where? It's like, I drove hard driving. I drive in the arcade. And he's like, that's so weird. That machine could give you that skill. And it's like, it's a real simulator. I don't know what to tell you. It was awesome.
Yeah, I know.
Tell them both. But
exactly. But for
yes,
real,
you need a shirt that says "I learned how to drive from hard driving." And one other cool thing about the arcades that I guess you could only live the experience if you're streaming or on Twitch was that if sometimes depending on the game you were playing, if either you were good or for something different, you could draw a crowd.
Yeah.
That
happened all the time.
Yeah. So it's
my local
cool.
Arcade, yeah.
Yes, playing that, and I also want to say too that sometimes being the voyeur, I'll never forget was that some camp? I can't remember how old I was, but seeing Dragon's Lair, and, seeing everybody gather around and then seeing that cabinet and then being it's a cartoon, but you press the buttons to move it. What's what's this? You know, and everybody was just
Yeah.
like stared around it like in awe.
And the crowd goes wild.
You know,
Nice.
you know,
Nice.
you know, like that type of thing. But so it's kind of like there's all those experiences, and that's why I say maybe the closest thing is Twitch, but it's one of those things where you had to be alive and live through it to get it, and that's why I think a lot of people collect arcades and have and have them in their homes and kind of try to relive that. But to your point, sometimes I think it's access to a game that you can't play on a console, but I think it could be something as simple as, hey, I want to play the Pac-Man arcade machine. Yes, I could play that in a bazillion systems, but I want the experience of it being an real arcade machine. Or for me, what I like, and I don't care what anyone says, you cannot replace with home, is using things like certain gun games and certain driving games.
Yes.
Because like for example, so like when Arcade 1-Up did that Terminator machine, and I first noticed, I'm like, why do they have these like House of the Dead type guns here? I get that they can't be black and all that because they can't look realistic, but I'm like, they totally destroyed that game because that gun itself, it had like a motor in it. It used total different technology, and it was metal.
It was like an Uzi. Yeah.
Like you could hurt yourself.
No. They've got a T2 cabinet at Yestercades in Somerville, New Jersey, and people play that all the time because they just feel it. You can feel it. There is a difference, 100%. Like I completely agree with you there, and that's that's again another reason why they they do hold so much magic, those arcades. And there's one other game too that just kind of blew me away when I saw it. And the first time I ever saw it in person was at Universal Studios Orlando. And they had the double cabinet versus mode version of the game. And that game was Sega's Virtual On.
Wow.
That game is so cool in the arcade. It's a double stick shooter that allows it's a mech fighting game. I don't know if anyone knows what Virtual On is, but it's a mech fighting game. So there's two joysticks, right? And you kind of use them like tank controls. Like push forward is forward, pull back is back. Away from each other is jump, and then like towards each other is kind of like a duck or a dodge, right? And then everything else is it's like robot combat game. So you got missiles and bombs and all that kind of stuff, and they're all on the trigger buttons on the joysticks. But it's so much fun because you really feel like you're piloting this thing because the whole cabinet around you, it's like a giant 40-inch, 50-inch screen directly in front of your face. And you're sitting in this chair and you've got the speakers around you and like all that kind of stuff. And then when you do the jumps and everything, it's so crazy. Like you're when you're doing your jumps and you're trying to turn, you pull into two different directions to turn, kind of like tank, as you're doing that. But everything moved so fast and so fluid. It was such a cool experience, and there's no way you can replicate that at the house.
No, and actually, I think I may have played that. That sounds. I might have said there was like a Sega Dreamcast version like that. Sounds very, very. Yeah, and you have like force feedback. So that's a game where you would have to have like those type of controls. But yeah, no, I can totally relate. And for that reason, for me, I don't unless it's something like kooky like Mario Kart. I don't enjoy like Gran Turismo or those. I don't enjoy those at home because just like using a regular D-pad doesn't do it. I mean, I could even remember like back in the day I had a PS2, whatever version of Gran Turismo, even had like the steering wheel and brake pad, that was okay. But to your point, Daytona USA, like for me that's, and maybe there's some nostalgia there, my all-time favorite driving game because the way that it starts, like most racing games, you just start off and then you go. This one actually it has you you start going.
Yeah, it's a rolling start. Yeah.
Yes, and they make you feel like you're a professional race driver, and the speakers are right behind you, blaring in your ears, and everything. Everything is force feedback, and you can feel it, and just like the music. So that, I don't know. That's one of those machines that I don't know, even if they did make something like an Arcade 1-Up, I hopefully they could do it right, because to own a real machine like that would be too insane. And then also too, the other thing is real arcade machines, just like all the retro equipment, they're old. It's be prepared to do maintenance or pay a lot of dough for a pristine copy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, it's it's such a fun topic to talk about this stuff because it just makes me want to go back, as soon as I can and just go and visit Yestercades again and just play some stuff because most of these like resurgent arcade centers are slowly building that stuff back, and most of the things
arcades and all that.
And most of the stuff that they're introducing, you've got your standard arcades that it's a cab and you sit at it and go play Joust and Defender and Space Invaders and all those other classics and Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. But then there's usually always one or two at these locations that are just like, oh, this is the stuff that you remember, that you walked in here and this is the reason why you remember arcades, right? Like, a game like Hard Drive and a game like, like Virtual On, a game like Daytona. There's always usually one there that you're like, oh, this is that game that made me like really love arcades because it's so unique. So
I just had an epiphany.
Oh
yeah! You reminded me, yes. So you reminded me of one of the other super awesome things about arcades that doesn't exist anymore. So do you remember like how awesome it is? Like, let's say, you go to an arcade. I don't care. It could be at a gas station or something. Like the first time I saw something like Mortal Kombat, the first time saw something even like Primal Rage, which is like crazy with the big monitors. Like the way you found out about new games is you went there.
Yeah.
And like next week they'd be like, this game was like all the rage, and then the next week the game would be all the rage. And so like even the arcade, something like Pit Fighter was pretty enjoyable, but then like the home like NES and Genesis ports were horrible. But something like had gone to like the Neo Geo, then it would have been fine. But that's the other wonder. Like, what's the new game this week? You actually had to go there and physically see it.
Yeah. Well, and so there's another local arcade that was in my area in Denellen, New Jersey. I think they actually still exist. It's called 8 on the Break. That place was a fighting game hub. So all the new latest fighters that would come out of Japan, this place would get them before the United States. So they'd be importing these arcade games from Japan, which was crazy. And then putting them in this one spot, right? So they'd rotate the whole center, and there's always the one spot where the newest, latest game was. And I remember walking in there the day they imported Marvel vs. Capcom, and the line to look at that game wrapped outside the building.
I bet.
Because people were like, we walked in there, and like, what the heck's going on? They're like, they got a new game. They got a new game. I'm like, what is it? And then we saw Marvel vs. Capcom. I was like, what is this? Because it's like basically it's Street Fighter on steroids, right? Like it's just crazy.
You know what, Richard? So thinking about these things, so like definitely like a huge part of the arcade was like discovery. Ooh, Galloping Ghosts. Yes. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, Crow. I mean, I want to get out there so bad because again, like I'm pretty lucky because I live in New Jersey, and it's there within driving distance from my house. I could probably hit 4 pretty major arcades. There's 3 Yestercades locations all over the state. There's 8 on the Break, and then there's at least one more that's pretty big. But the Yestercades locations, especially the one in Westfield, I never went there yet, but it's supposed to be huge and have a whole bunch of stuff. And then, of course, I'm not too far away from Laconia, New Hampshire. It's like 3 or 4 hours up north. And then there's Fun Spot. There's like 350 games there. And then the only one that rivals it is Galloping Ghosts. So that's definitely on my list. I totally want to go there.
Dude, just like thinking of Galloping Ghosts because like, of course, I have to mention, can't talk about arcades without being excited and like without mentioning this guy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's Retro Ralph. But yeah, I love that. I like that. But anyways, he did some live coverage, went down there, like interviewed Doc, and I know like a few other people have like Tim from Tim's Tiny Arcade, and it looks incredible. But the one thing I love about that, first of all, is that it's owned by Doc. Like it's owned by an individual. It's not owned by like a big corporation. Because there's games that you could only find there that no one's ripped the ROM sets. Like you can't play it on MAME. It's like you actually have to
Right.
like go there. And he's all
Yeah.
about preserving games, and and everything else. And actually, like he knows like some of like the higher end collectors, but I think it's like a competition between him and them. Like I think like it was something crazy. Oh, it was like they have like the only I think sequel to Primal Rage 2.
Oh wow.
Yeah, which was, it was one of those games that it was completed, but he could I
Mhm.
forget the story, could have tells it, but he said like I think like the day after he had that, somebody like they offered him like 60 grand for the machine, and he turned it down, and he said he would have needed that for the board expansion.
Oh wow.
So that was kind of a neat reveal when like
That's-
Ralph
that's crazy.
like interviewed him. So yeah, like he wants to preserve the stuff, and they're
Yeah,
always
yeah.
fixing up. So I love it's like video game preservation and like discovery. So which it's kind of funny because I wonder if you grew up liking arcades and all, everything always cycles back around to Evercade. But I wonder if
No.
like I know because you mean like that's one of the things we love about the Evercade is discovery, and so it's kind of funny. Like even though Evercade isn't like 100% arcade focused, I think it scratches that itch because we grew up with
Mhm.
arcades. Like arcades are part of our like gaming retro history, and that's important to us. So I think maybe that's a way to scratch that itch in modern times. Having a curated collection.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, all of that stuff. I mean, 800 games on the floor of that place. Look at the Beavis and Butthead game. That's pretty cool.
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. Yeah, like yeah. I mean, I'm about to start. I gotta sell this. Probably won't be for a year or two because my summer vacations are locked up for the next few years for sure. But I gotta get out there. What is this? What is it? Maybe summer 2024. It's gonna be busy, but we could maybe we could make it. Because we're going to be doing a little solar eclipse chasing too. That might take us out there.
Ooh.
The website lists 867 games. Man,
I
I'm
think
going to
they
be
have
packing.
more. I think
I'm going
they
to be
have
packing some gluten-free hot dog buns. Getting over there, and then on my way over there, I'll stop at every Portillo's on the way over and get some hot dogs.
I think they have more in the back. Like that's just what they have on the floor.
That's crazy.
It's nuts.
That far exceeds Fun Spot. They used to have the Guinness Book of World Record for the biggest active arcade in the world, but that just blows that away. Because I mean, that was crazy, and that doesn't include the pinball machines.
They have a separate
No
van. They have a separate building.
way.
Yeah, like across the street.
I gotta get over there.
I know, right?
I've got to go. I have to see that now. That's crazy.
It's like on my
I
bucket.
bet you they have I bet you they've got a mint race driving machine and a hard driving machine. They might even have that. There was a flight simulator one too. I forget what they call it.
Probably have like a version of like hard driving with like an extra level or something that you can't play anywhere else, or some extra mode, or you know what I mean.
Well, I mean, race driving really was that game, right? It was the sequel. They didn't really go anywhere. There's not a lot of race driving machines out there. There's one in Fun Spot. It used to be one anyway, but they're hard to keep up and maintain. So like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but race driving had like 3 or 4 different tracks that you could play on, which was actually cool. Yeah, they have a separate building a couple blocks away from pinball only. That's awesome.
And you know what else is neat? Like I can't remember who else. Like I know John Hancock did a video, but he like went like in Las Vegas, Nevada, like the national like the pinball museum. Like pretty much like it's free to get in, but you just like put quarters and you can play to your heart's content. Like I think he said like he had like it was like $10, like lasted a couple hours. And
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Really cool.
There's definitely stuff like that.
They'll be like they expand so much they just buy a whole city block and it's just the arcade.
Yeah.
That'd be so cool.
But what else is neat about Galloping Ghost is that they have like the equipment to like print out marquees and artwork, like for some of these like prototype games, like for artwork that never existed or for stuff that's just too hard to get. You know, like they're set up to remake it. So yeah,
that's awesome.
Places like that are very, very, very cool.
Yes.
Do we want to go into that other topic we talked about earlier, or do we still want to stay on the arcade stuff?
I was gonna spin off, so we were talking about all their nostalgia for the arcades themselves.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go into, all right, so do we have a moment, and this could be a quick topic, just quick share, where we have attained arcade glory?
Oh, I forgot about that.
That one story where you're like, I did this, and this was probably the finest example of, like me me versus machine, and I came out the victor. So, like, do you have a story like that?
Well, so there's, there's, well, it doesn't, so like, it doesn't sound like, let's say, well, okay. Actually, no, I got a better one because I was going to say, yeah, when you go and beat something like, let's say, like Turtles in Time or Knights of the Round, you can do that. But I have a little bit later in life, actually, you hit the nail on the head being the victim. Man, I'm stumbling all over my words today.
Get it right or pay the price.
so for glory, so in my college years where I went to the art institute and all that, they had like a little like break room and a few arcade machines. The only one that I remember at the time is playing Carnival, which for all of you who don't know, like you use like a shotgun light gun and you have to like shoot at clowns and like crazy, and like crazy stuff. And I could always just remember like going in there, maybe like not, maybe like spending like $1 or $2 at a time, or just like like a couple bucks every now and there. And then I remember one time actually like sitting down or standing up and actually like spending like I think I want to say it took me like $5, but like it's kind of funny when you have like, especially like when you're a college student, you don't have a lot of money. I'm like, I don't care, but I think maybe I only had like $5 and just finally being able to like go through and beat that game, mainly because you just want to like see it and go to the end and fight the boss. Like I don't even remember any of that. I do remember that I beat it, but I don't remember like the details. I just remember like shooting a bunch of clowns in the in the face.
Yeah,
but that I mean, it's cool. Like when you're a kid, like the first time, like when you were the group of strangers and complete a game, but when you said like man versus machine, like that was a fun triumph. And again, that was a gun game. That was something that just like
Nice.
sucked you. And who knows, maybe like over the course of like a few months, maybe I spent a total of like 20, because you think like you spent a few dollars here and there, pre microtransactions, but who knows how much, but then it's like, I didn't care, but that's kind of one glorious moment that I can think of off the top of my head.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. Took me a moment though. You made me think.
Nice. Yeah. PlayStation VR kind of bring back that shooter experience with a couple titles. Like the Scary Roller Coaster VR game. Yeah, that is true. I forget what it was called. I have that game, but yeah, it did actually kind of have like a Carnival, like a vibe to it. Yeah, in VR, that thing was crazy looking. That was crazy looking.
To speak, because you did bring up gun games, because this will be for another podcast, but whole like House of the Dead re-release, and you have to use like the Wii control, not the Wii controllers. You have to use like what the heck are those Switch control? Like the Joy-Cons, but it's like it's weird. Like you don't have a real gun, but like I'm sorry, if you're playing a gun game, you need a light gun. Like there's no substitute. I don't care how good the graphics are.
Well, and back in the day, I went high and low for the PS1 to find the actual gun cons, the one that had the force feedback in the gun for PlayStation 1. I had a 2-player set of those. That was awesome,
dude. So the reason I had that Freudian slip for the Wii, because I thought about hooking up. I haven't tested how the Wii will look, just look in regular composite, but it can do the 4x3. Anyways, I thought about hooking that up, and I do have an attachment where you put the Wii remote in it, and it's just, it's just like it's like an empty. It's just like the shape of a gun. There's like a little lip that fits, and you just put it in there so you can pull the trigger. Like I thought about maybe just digging that out of the closet and putting that in just to play House of the Dead, because that's like such a fun. That's like such a fun gun game,
Yeah, it's one of my wife's favorites actually, House of the Dead, but her favorite all time, just light gun game period, is Duck Hunt. It was how I got her convinced to go to Fun Spot in the first place, because we went like on a long weekend, just kind of like a getaway trip, and how I got her to go to Fun Spot was I told her that there was a versus Duck Hunt machine there, and it was like everything's set to free play. You just pay to get in, and then you just play your heart's content. And she must have sat at that versus Duck Hunt machine for like 3 hours just playing.
Dang, that dog though, that dog will
Yeah.
But you know what? And I think that's why they're sought after, those those versus Nintendo versus arcade cabinets. If they have a CRT and they have a light gun, because
Mm-hmm.
even if you, because I know like the boards or whatever for those are kind of expensive, but you can get an adapter where, let's say, then you could put like one of those, then you could put like a flash card in there and have like Hogan's Alley and all that, and it's kind of like having a Super Nintendo, a regular Nintendo, like on the best composite video that you could have, and be able to use a light gun and play on this game. Like that would be, you know what? I even thought about like imagine having an arcade, like a Mr. Arcade cabinet that'd be just like dedicated just towards like gun games. Like that would be so much fun.
That would be kind of cool.
I mean, hell, or even like a House of the Dead cabinet where you had like a switcher where you could switch like between the actual boards for like House of the Dead 1 and 2, maybe even 3. Because once you have the basic, if it's like a similar gun game, once you have like the basic thing, I mean, you could even play Time Crisis, but you'd have to have the pedal. I mean, yeah, you could hold the gun up, but having the pedal is more fun.
Oh yeah, and 100%, yeah. And I agree, Rigatoni. The Sega Master System Safari Hunt was actually a really good light gun game. There are some really cool stuff. And I watched that video too about Metal Jesus Rocks doing a video about the modern light gun game running from PC. It's not 100% there yet, the technology, but they're starting to get there where they can use like a high def TV or high def monitor and use this, like, I don't know what kind of weird technology, but
yeah, it creates a white border. But yeah, to your point, I mean, it's, you have to have the PC. Like, there's not something where you could just plug it into an Xbox or a PlayStation. That's where I think it needs to be. Like, if you could just plug it in and go click, 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 calibrate it, and you're done on a modern LCD, that would be awesome. Then I would get like all the gun games for that.
Well, I mean, so all the good things usually start from PC, right? Most of these new systems that you're talking about are all x86 based. So if they can figure out how to make a PC run it, then sometimes that can be encapsulated and put into the modern system, PS5, Xbox Series, etc. So that way you could actually get that going, which would be really neat. So that'd be something really cool to see. But speaking of my arcade glory story takes me to my college days, where I had just moved from back home from Florida, actually, from this very building that I'm in right now, all the way up back into the town I'm actually now living in, but in a different place. I was bacheloring it up with a couple dudes. We rented out a place. Every weekend, though, we would hit up Reading Cinemas in Manville, New Jersey, and go see a movie. Didn't matter what it was. Every Friday we'd see something. That was what we did. Every Friday night, we'd get out of work, we'd go back to the house, make some dinner real quick, just like, half a mile away from the movie theater, and then walk to the theater, and then get there early enough where we could play some stuff and then go see a movie. So what did I play? I played Sega's Star Wars Arcade Trilogy arcade machine. And that game is epic. It's awesome. I don't know if you know what that is.
That's the one, there's it's broken into different sections. Like, you actually have to go into the Death Star and like blow it up, and then there's like use like a lightsaber. I don't know if I've played that, but I've seen footage. I think that's the one that you're talking about. Yeah.
So there's 3 different levels with 3 different sections in each level. There is Yavin 4 from Star Wars, Episode 4. There's Hoth, which is a series of tunneled first-person shooter style games, and also a level where you're in the snow speeders trying to take down the AT-ATs. And then Endor, there's a level on Endor where you're doing the stuff, like on the forest planet and using the speeder bikes. And then in between each one, you can fight Boba Fett and Darth Vader in a lightsaber duel, and you use the stick to do a lightsaber duel. If you beat all of them, then you do the final level, the second Death Star Endor, over at the Endor moon. You do that level, and all 3 stages are, the surface level, you're fighting through the tunnel, and then the last stage is you're inside of the circle, the inside of the hollowed Death Star to actually like shoot down all the components, and then you leave. Right, you get out of there because you're in the Falcon. So that game's pretty brutal. On normal difficulty, it's pretty brutal. But I played it so much over the course of one summer that I was able to complete the game on one set of quarters.
Dang, dude.
And the night I did it, I didn't know I had it, but my friends were gathering an audience because they thought that this was going to be the run. I must have had like 20 or 30 people watching me go through this game.
Dang.
And I didn't know. If had I known, I wouldn't have made it because it would have been too much.
Yeah, right.
But there's a strategy though. There's a thing that you learn to do. What you do is you do Hoth first because you can choose which way to go. You always do Hoth first because if you're going to make a mistake, you're going to do it while you're in that first-person shooter section in Hoth. Because everything else, you can learn the pattern and it's pretty easy. It's not like I'm not saying it's easy because when you're learning, it's just the game beats you down over and over and over again until you learn the pattern, and you just have to get good to like learn. This is where the reticle needs to be. Where when I'm at this part of the level, because if it's not there, I'm missing the shot and then I take a damage. And you only have so many hits that you can take, right? And if you're going to take damage, you're probably going to take it by accident. Accidental damage, you're going to get it while you're in that level on Hoth. But if you can take just a little bit less damage, you'll get it all back when you beat the level, and then you're fully healed for Yavin. You go through Yavin. Yavin's the easiest level, so you can go through all of that. Then you have your first lightsaber duel with Boba Fett, and if you can beat Boba Fett, you get more life back. So if you made more mistake, now you're at full health. You do the Endor mission, and that's pretty easy. You get through the Endor mission, you maybe take a couple hits, you go do Darth Vader's. Darth Vader's lightsaber duel is a little harder. But if you can make it and get lucky, you get full health back for the final battle on the Endor Death Star, and that level is insane. It's absolutely insane.
And you beat all that on one. So is it like 1/4, 1 life, or how did that?
Yeah, it was. So it's $1 to play, right?
$1. Okay, $1.
So you put 4 quarters in, you hit start, and then I got up when the credits rolled on one set of one. I put my $1 in. I sat down and I got up in the end. It took.
Wow. Otherwise, I'm guessing this. So basically,
20-something minutes, a half hour.
It's $1 per life if you die. Then is that
correct? Yeah. So if you die, it's another $1 for a continue.
Man, that's an incredible feat.
And when I beat it, I beat it by the skin of my teeth. I had like 11% health or something like that at the very end of the game. So it wasn't like I just destroyed the game. It almost got me at the very end. I'd almost died, but I was able to get like 2 or 3 lucky shots. I was in the zone.
Yeah, it's probably a good thing they didn't tell you, "Hey man, we got 30 people."
So I the credits started rolling, and then all of a sudden I hear like more than my friends going, "Yeah," and I'm like, "What is happening? What is And there was a whole bunch of people that were waiting for whatever film we went. I forget what. I don't even know what we were seeing. I don't remember the movie that I saw that night. All I remember was I finally beat it. And then I went to try to do it a couple more times, and I got close. The next 2 weekends, I got really close, but I had died where I thought I was going to die the last time when I got lucky. I died at that same place both times when I tried to do it. So I haven't been able to do it again, but it was a good time. That was
crazy.
That was cool.
That's an awesome story.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's too cool. Yeah, it was pretty brutal. Yeah, agony of defeat of Thrillville. Yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely. So, but yeah, that was pretty cool. So anyway, I mean, we've got technically another topic, but we're going a little long for where I am because I'm on the East Coast.
Yeah,
I don't want to push it too much. I know you want to talk about a couple things, and then of course we've got our caller question. We should do that.
Yes, yeah.
We're gonna shelve our building our own home arcade to next time, where we may actually even have a guest. We'll figure that out. But we might have somebody showing up, which would be cool. So we'll go into like final thoughts mode, and so you want to talk about your thing, and then we'll do the caller question.
Why don't we do the caller question?
All right, cool.
I don't know what it is, but I'm worried that like it's going to be an awesome topic. I'm not worried, but I think I'm worried that we may run out of time. So I have a feeling it's going to be an awesome topic, and I don't want to take anything. I don't want to take anything away from that.
It was pretty radical. So I just want to double check which microphone I'm closest to. So I think it's this one. You guys heard that loud?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I just wanted to make sure because I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna pull it up on my phone here, and then I'm gonna hit play.
This is great. I haven't heard this yet, so this is great.
So there we go. So then, hold on a second. Let me hit this. There we go. Oh, hold on a second. Oh no. There we go. All right, hold on. Ready?
Is the volume on max?
Yeah, here we go.
Hey guys, this is Rigatoni calling in to the show. A question that popped up. I hope this isn't hidden Rich's cell phone that's voicemail, hidden to Google voicemail. But just want to know what obscured or rare system have you guys end up collecting for or attempted to collect for? I myself collected for the Virtual Boy, and I was able to actually pick up all of the American release games. Not complete in box, but the games at least. And I had it for a short while until I just realized I wasn't using it so much, and it was kind of hard to show off a little bit. So I ended up just selling it, and just rerounding the money into something else. And right now, I'm currently collecting for the Evercade, obviously, and also collecting for the Atari 7800. That's all right. I found that you can buy a box of sealed games within 15, 20 bucks online or at stores. So I was like, I've made it affordable. I actually picked up 2 European game pads. I have a custom Nintendo style game pad as well as the regular 7800 joystick. But just wanted to know what you guys have you guys ventured off and collecting? Have you guys what was one thing that you guys collected that was rare? And or not rare, but like was uncommon, not a usual system you collect for. And if you guys are still doing that, or maybe you guys have let off that because of price, or because of just availability, or because let's say you don't even play it as much at all. That you thought you would play a lot more when you started collecting. Anyways, this is Rigatoni again. Bringing that up, and hope you guys have a great day. Can't wait to hear you guys on the podcast or on the Calling All Gamers show. All right, see you.
I'd buy that for $1.
Dude, that was awesome. That was thank you. Thank you so much for calling in.
Yes, that's such an awesome question, Rigatoni. Thanks so much.
Yes, and you too can. Hey, why don't you put up the number on the bottom of the screen?
Oh yeah. We got our banner in here.
Yeah. But no, that's so good.
To join in,
maybe he'll start a trend. Maybe he'll be a weekly caller. So that's okay. So I guess so. I can kind of answer that question. I think maybe by today's, you guys can determine if it's rare, but it's kind of the closest thing. So if I'm going back 15 plus years ago, before when me and my wife go back. Notice I said 15 plus, and I didn't put an exact number. Not that she's listening, So like we first got together, had an apartment. Kind of goes back to the Neo Geo. I was obsessed of wanting to own it, and I can remember like looking at all kind of options. Like even back then, AES was still like very expensive, and then like the CD-ROM systems were too slow. And I saw that somebody like they'd made like a custom like MVS. It was a 1 slot, but it was literally just the board, and it was just like sat on like some type of like plexiglass or plastic. And I guess they made modifications where you could plug in like Neo Geo controllers. Like it didn't have like a super gun or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the glory days of CRT, and you can plug all it. And I want to say like I won the eBay auction, and back then I think I got it for like $150. Like
Oh, wow.
So it was pretty cheap. But the appearance of it, it looked like really janky. I mean, there was no housing on it. Everything was exposed. I mean, it was solid, but it was kind of and the guide flashed like Unibios, like I want to say, was it like 2.5 or something? Like, this kind of shows you how old it is. And back then, I can remember like I think it came Saturday. It came with like Saturday Night Slam Masters and like King of the Fighters '94. And the funny thing is that King of the Fighters night, like I gotten some other later fighting games, but that King of the Fighters '94 is actually one of my favorite ones that I'd got. And you could like get games anywhere for $20 to $50. Like it wasn't too grossly expensive. I didn't care about the labels. And then I could remember that I wanted to try to like get like these like big cases to put them in and try to print out stuff. But eventually, I don't know, because of the time, it didn't end up selling it. But I remember like I profited like double on it. I remember like the stupid cases. I sold them to some dude in Germany, and like I'm just this like those big cases you could put MVS cart and made money off of that. But I don't know necessarily if it was rare. I didn't own anything like anything like super special. But kind of looking back, I'm like that would still kind of be neat to have. Still be kind of neat to have. But to be honest, with modern technology, they're like I don't have a CRT. Like this, I don't even think I might have had AV out. I don't even remember, but it did come with. I remember I did have like the Neo Geo controller, like the arcade, like the official. The ball had a little bit of a crack, and I think that was the thing is it looked very scruffy and worn. It worked fine, but that's how I was able to get like a good a good price on it. I remember buying the other controller. Oh, I know. Yeah, I'll wait to what I was going to tease about at the end. When you said your thing, I forgot, but that was maybe it. We have too many things, so it's not really rare, but kind of like moving forward nowadays, like for me, like having a consoleized MVS, I don't know, would do it for me. Like it would almost kind of be like you would need an arcade cabinet, or like what would do it for actually. So here's what would do it for me. Be like, let's say like having an AVS that would be modded with an HDMI out, and having an AS flash card, because that's just too expensive. But at least you would have, it would be like original hardware, images of original. Because I think the flash card for that thing is like $800. It's like the most expensive. Like some other like Stone Age Gamer or Castlemania Games sells that, but then I don't even know like people modify AESs. I don't know, but that would
Oh yeah, I mean, you're talking pricey territory just for getting under the hood of those things. So
but I would settle. Cool, I would settle for like if they. I don't know why SNK doesn't do this. Like just a Neo Geo Mini. I know they've had all those other ones, but an AES Mini. Like have it just be that, have it hook it up, maybe have it have like 20 games, or I don't know, like some of the better game. Like maybe that would capture the nostalgia.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. That'd be really cool. So as for me, did I ever dabble in anything? I don't think I ever consciously dabbled in something that I knew was rare, but I did stumble upon things that wound up being rare later on. And the thing that I stumbled into was the Pocket, the Neo Geo Pocket. And I showed it last time when we were on.
Yes.
I still have my Pocket and Clash of the Fighters. And then I went to go looking for my 6-game stack. I have no idea where the heck I put it. It was upstairs for a long, long time. And I think I brought it down into the studio to show it to people, but I just don't know where I put my games. They're in a box somewhere. I know they're around. But the reason why I'm bringing that up is because I went to go look up. There's only 25 titles in the US or something like that for the Neo Geo Pocket, and I have 7 of them. But one of them is Fasai, which is the one that's on the top of the list. And I'm like, wow, I just want to see it again. I want to see the cartridge. And I'm like, oh yeah, I have that. I've got Dark Arms. I've got there's Match of the Millennium, and then Card Fighters Clash. I've got one of the Card Fighters Clash, and I have Match of the Millennium. So I've got those 2 fighters. I've got, so there's another one. There's something else that I have. But the cool thing about it was the Neo Geo Pocket is a cool looking system. That's part of the reason that I bought it way back in the day. I wanted a handheld, but I didn't want a Game Boy. I don't know why I didn't. I had borrowed a Game Gear, but it was like too bulky. I just wanted something that it could fit in my pocket. It was kind of small, but it had a color screen and it had like cool, quirky games. and the Neo Geo Pocket fit that bill. So I went on eBay and I got one. It was like, at that time, the system itself, I think about the system and the four of the games in a bundle for like $90 on eBay.
Yeah, I remember with it. I
Yeah.
remember they were like super cheap and like nobody wanted them. I wish.
Yeah. And I was like, give me one, because and now I have this little cool handheld system, and that was the only one that I ever really had any kind of like draw to, and I played the wheels off of that thing. Excuse me, when I got it, I used to love like playing the fighting games and playing the match, like puzzlers and all that stuff, and there was a cool RPG game on there, and I loved playing that one as well. But
Dude, they're expensive. I mean, maybe the cheapest I saw like $100, no
Mhm.
games plus $25 shipping from Japan. They range anywhere
Yep.
from like 100 to 300 something, depending on the bundle and what you want to get with it. So yeah, it's
Yeah. I mean, and that was it was pretty cool. And like I said, I want. I don't know where they went, but I want to know where my games are again, because I just want to see them. And then because then I'm just going to play them again. But the only other thing that I owned that was video game related that I knew was rare when I got it, because it never came out in the United States, was a Pocket Station. I had a Pocket Station, and how I got it was actually really weird, because I had signed up for they were going to test it in the United States market, but you had to pay for shipping and all this kind of stuff. But you could actually get one sent to you during this window, and I just so happened to read some kind of magazine article where Sony was looking for people to test the thing. So I sent out, to try to get on the list, and I wound up getting on the list, and then having them send me out one, and I had the clear little Pocket Station guy, and all it was is basically a VMU, right? Yep, there it is.
yeah. Because when you said I was like, what? I'm like, that sounds familiar. I'm like, let me see if I can find it. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and the reason why I wanted it was because during the time that they were talking about the Pocket Station's ability, it had the ability to hook up to like 3 or 4 games that were here in the US, but one of them was Final Fantasy VIII.
Of course.
And I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan. And not only did it hook up and do things and interact with Final Fantasy VIII, but there was a mini game that you could play away from your game on the Pocket Station, do things on the Pocket Station game, and bring your stuff back into Final Fantasy VIII in your save. And the game was called Chocobo World. It was really rudimentary. It was kind of like a Tamagotchi, to be honest. That you had a little chocobo, and he had a little story, and he could do whatever, and he grew, and you can feed him gashel greens, and he'd get into fights, and you'd have little fights on the Pocket Station, and it was kind of cool. You could level him up, and then when you loaded your save, you could load this leveled up chocobo back in your party, and they would do. I think the summon that you could use got more powerful when you summoned.
So it was almost kind of like a Pokemon type thing, but for Final Fantasy, but with chocobos, kind of like
yes,
you can transfer it. Yeah, wow.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a shame, because especially like we take like technologies like that for granted now, but back in the day, that would have been huge.
It was awesome. I wore it. I had a lanyard because kind of like I have like car keys that are on a lanyard, right?
Yeah.
But I had a lanyard that had keys for like my car, my house, and stuff that I needed for my job or whatever, because I was a key holder in certain locations. On that same lanyard for years was the Pocket Station. Well, after I stopped playing PS1, PS2 into the PS3 area, I still kept it with me until I put it in my I had just started to make a shrine of stuff that things that I played, and I didn't play anymore. I started building that when I was down in the studio, and I want to say.
Don't tell me it was hit by the flood.
Oh no, it definitely was. Yeah, it was downstairs when the flood. It was. I know for a fact it was downstairs when the flood happened. Now, did I find it? That is a question mark. I don't know if I found it. If I did find it, will something else happen? I also don't know the answer to that question, but maybe.
It makes me want to fart.
Had to lighten the mood because I'd be depressed. No, but that's still cool though. Even if it didn't work, and the fact that you still like have it, like it's that rare that it's that's even if it doesn't work, it's like who cares? Just to have that, like that's like an awesome like piece that you just like sit on your desk or something to.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and I had I had a Dreamcast and a full set of EMUs too for the Dreamcast. That was pretty cool too. But I don't know. It's just something about the Pocket Station. I just wish that they did more with it. And I know it. The next thing that came in was a PSP, but and then once they had the handheld, they had their own handheld. So why would they bother making these little weird things for your console? I wish though when they first came out with the PSP, I thought for sure that there was going to be some kind of data link cable where you'd be able to take stuff from a PSP game and like import it into your save on PS2, and they never did that. And I was like, man, this is a lost opportunity. Then Vita came out, and I'm like, they're going to do it, and then they didn't.
No, man. I mean, it's totally.
Oh, and that's a bad mess.
That's it's funny because like we'll have to this will be another podcast, but it's funny because Sony is one of those companies that they come out with a handheld and then they abandoned it. Like it's like that's what they did to the Vita. Like people thought, they were going to do all these cool things. Like they didn't do it with the PSP. All right, well with the Vita they're going to do it, but it's been like homebrew and developer like have kept that alive. I mean, it definitely is. I mean, Nintendo is good with backwards compatibility. Oh, so yeah, let me tease. And I'll be doing a video of this on my channel, but let's just say I'm the only one who has this specific custom flash cart.
Nice.
You can't really see it, but it says it's the ultimate. Well, let me show the load screen. See if you can see it there. If not, then I'll see it because I know, like me holding. I mean, obviously, making a video, I would want to try to be better. Can't hear the ding. Turn the volume down.
Ding.
But yeah, it says Ultimate Tetris Collection.
Yeah.
And then there's different.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So
we'll have to definitely. Yeah, you have to get some footage or do a little thing. We'll have to talk about this next time for sure.
Yeah, definitely. No, I plan on I plan on doing it on my channel. But yeah, it's a custom made cart that I got made on Etsy, which is pretty neat. But I'll go down the journey. It's kind of like, well, yes, you can play Tetris many different ways. Why this? Why not? Why not like one of those other like flash cards? All kinds of good stuff. But I just wanted to tease.
Absolutely.
Just to kind of tease it.
So as we get into the final thoughts, I wanted to give another shout out to Rigatoni. That was awesome. Thanks for doing that. Hopefully, if not already prognosticating too much, we will hear him again in the future, in the very near future, maybe. But that'd be awesome. Keep calling in, and then if you guys are still watching, that number is down there. Hit that 949-548-CARG, man. Hit us up, and let us know. Leave us a voicemail. Hopefully, it'll be a little bit different by the time I get back from my vacation. Things should be different for the caller's experience. You should be able to call directly in, get maybe one ring, and then a message.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask.
Because what's happening now is people are calling 929-548-CARG, and they're getting my cell phone. It's just ringing. Rigatoni called. I was actually driving. We had just stopped. We had just made a pit stop to get some food for the kids on the way down here to Florida. And the phone rang, and I'm like, who's this? I just picked up, and then something weird happened. I was like, hello? And I heard some weird message, but I was like, I don't know if this is a robot or a robodial, but it said something like, press 1 to make sure you can connect the call. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I hit press 1. I'm like, hello? And like, the voice on the other end is like, is this Retro Rich? And I'm like, yeah. How do you know who I am? What's happening?
I didn't even think of that.
They're like, oh, hey, I called the card line. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I forgot. If you have that app on your phone, like you can tell Google Voice, like if it doesn't pick up after once to to go
Yeah.
to go to
And
voice.
then I got to change all the settings, so it'll be all right. I don't know. I mean, I definitely didn't change them anytime soon, but I think someone may have just called. So if they did, then we'll hear them next week, which would be awesome. Oh, it was Rigatoni. You just left it up.
That's great, man.
That's awesome, man. So
That's
we'll have
great.
another topic for sure from you guys next time we get in there, which is awesome. Crow, he just found a spot in Exile. You can turn on auto fire, put the controller down, let the character just level himself up. That's awesome.
Walked away.
Yeah. Hey, Crow, hit me up in Discord with like how you can do that, because that's awesome. I love things like that. We could that's another topic in and of itself. Like where in retro games have you ever done something like that? I have like 3 stories where I've done that.
Oh, kind of like
just set
automated
it-
to power level and like come back.
like before the actual like days of rapid fire controllers, I've done like ye old book on button. Like I put the controller down on the floor and like propped a book on it, and then like had another like thing to prop the book open to make sure like it didn't like fall off the button or whatever. And then like I used a rubber band to like pull to the right or the left or whatever, just to simulate movement, and then like go to work and come back. Oh yeah, there's tons of those stories.
Something
That'd be awesome to
similar,
get
like
into.
like save states didn't exist. So if you had like certain games where didn't have any passwords or anything else, I can remember carefully like leaving the Nintendo on, carefully putting it back, praying no one bumped or messed with it, and being able to like after school go back. On. So kind of, but yeah, we can talk about the struggle. The struggle is real. Anyone else have any other final thoughts? Because I know you're an hour. Well, you're always an hour ahead of me, but I know we started later.
Well, yeah, now it's like it's pushing midnight, and I'm like, oh man, those kids are not gonna let me sleep again today. We lucked out. We lucked out because everyone was tired.
I would like to thank our.
I would like to thank our. That's awesome.
Use a thumb on a PS2 controller. Yeah, I was gonna say I would like to thank our invisible guest.
You got your boy Phoenix,
who's here in spirit, and just have to say,
here in spirit.
He has been doing some like awesome live live stuff with those what are they called? Those story video games where you
yeah like the choose your own adventure novel. And
he's great. He involves the audience and stuff where you can pick, and he reads them in between, and I'm hoping maybe to be in one of those, because it's
me too. He was hanging out with DJC tonight.
Yeah, I know.
On his channel, so like
I actually
everybody should go
after this. But
everybody go and check him out. Yeah, I think they finished up before obviously before we finished, but just but I will say get over there and give him some love. Yeah,
no, totally. I will say though that like doing it live, like you really have to do it live. It's so much fun participating.
Yeah. No, it's so cool what he's doing, and I just want to be a part of it, just so I could be like say that I was a part of the madness that is someone trying to get multiple people from all different parts of the world to get themselves on a green screen so we can import you into OBS and put you on a set that actually makes you look like you're sitting there. I don't even know how he's doing it. I just want to be a part of it so I could just be there and just be like, I don't even know if I'm going to contribute to any topics. I'm just happy to be a part of this madness.
Exactly.
That's it. So, but anyway, I think that's all good. I just want to say thanks to everyone. Again, coming out and hanging out with us. This is episode 9. We turn 10 next episode, man. 10. We were going to be doing 10 successful. By the time we get to see you guys next time, that'll be on the 26th of April. That's the next episode of Calling All Retro Gamers. It's on the dockets for us. Will there be a guest? Who knows? Only you will find out when we put the thumbnail up. But we will guarantee there will be another voicemail. So that'll be good.
Yeah. I think that's great. Here you left you on, but yeah.
So all right, guys. Well, from us to you guys, I want to wish you guys a great night. You get some sleep. Yeah, no, it's tired. It's getting me, man. But we'll see you guys next time on Calling All Retro Gamers.
Well, we created content. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
See you guys. Calling all retro.
Calling all retro gamers.
This concludes our broadcast day. Click.